Sure, and we'll talk about what the political effect of this is. Sanjay Jha, today a lot of people saying that the whole hue and cry about misuse of agencies has been laid to rest. The Supreme Court has thrown it out. The petition has been withdrawn. 14 political parties said, give us special treatment, and the court said absolutely not. Does it disprove that political vendetta cry now?
Tamanna, only the BJP is saying it. No one else is saying it at all. I think, note one point, the Supreme Court has not disagreed with the broader content or the merits of the petition. All it has said is that we don't want to look at it as a collective pitch for reform and change. We cannot pass any judgment as to what the future law ought to look like, because this looks at only the political class as a whole. But the reason why all the opposition parties actually made this petition to the Supreme Court is because they are feeling they are being collectively harassed. And let's look at the hard data points, Tamanna. The truth is that 95% of people facing the onslaught of the ED after Mr. Modi became Prime Minister is only the opposition leaders. I mean, you have the list of all the other leaders who joined the BJP on whom the maximum is that the case is hanging, but at the end of the day, the investigation is not progressing anywhere. And the reason behind that is there is selective targeting. Let me give you a couple of examples.
But the Supreme Court is saying, then you come with your case. If you think you have been wrongly targeted, you come with your case. How can you say that have a kid's glove approach to all opposition leaders? Because if you see what the petition had, Sanjay Jha, it had that, keep the triple test, which is a Supreme Court guideline, which should be for everyone. But make sure that the triple test is there. Go in for home arrest if you need to. Have questioning at specific timing. Why should there be special treatment for someone as an accused because they happen to be an opposition leader or a political leader?
Well, Tamanna, let's look at some hard truths here. Number one, in Maharashtra, where I live, and I assume so do you will notice two very prominent leaders who moved to the BJP some time ago, who publicly stated, and this is on record, that the moment we joined the BJP, we could sleep peacefully because the ED and the CBI won't come after us now. I mean, this is the perception of these investigating agencies under Mr. Modi. Let me give you another example. You have a situation today where the ED was told by the special court that your arrest of Sanjay Raut was illegal, that there was no substance behind arresting him and keeping him in jail for around 100 days. And if this is happening to prominent leaders of the opposition, can you imagine how dangerous and authoritarian the BJP has become? And therefore, my one more point before we carry on, just one more point. I mean, this whole great washing machine, bigger and more popular than LG, Samsung, and Godrej and Bosch that the BJP has become is no longer just kind of a political rhetoric. I think everybody recognizes that today the BJP will do what it wants, and it has made.
But the court is not recognized. Everybody recognized. You're saying only the BJP is saying they're vindicated, but Tuhin Sinha will turn around and say that everybody is saying that today we're vindicated. And the Supreme Court does not recognize this. Tuhin Sinha, they will come back with a petition, possibly. And they'll say that this is about citizens' rights. What about the statistics that were quoted? 95% of political leaders being questioned by the ED and the CBI are from the opposition. We've been running that list on the screen. Is that just a coincidence? Or anyone who's not in the BJP is, essentially corrupt? The moment you're in the BJP, your third eye opens up, there's an awakening, and you become a good person?
Well, good evening, Tamanna. Good evening to Sanjay and to all the viewers. Today's plea in the Supreme Court by 14 parties was a cringeworthy attempt to manufacture a model of cooperative, collaborative corruption, which has rightly been spurned and rejected by the Supreme Court. Now, three important points which the Honorable Supreme Court made. The plea has no factual context. Number two, they can only intervene in specific and individual cases. And number three, politicians can't claim higher immunity vis-a-vis other citizens of the country. So by itself shows the how ill-conceived such a plea was. Now, coming to the other part of it, when you say 95% of the cases have been against the opposition parties, yes, they are by nature corrupt. If you look at it, I will give you. Sanjay gave the example of two people who switched over to the BJP. I am giving you the example of Mukul Rai. Mukul Rai switched over the side. He went back. So does that mean that the cases have been revived? It is just that in certain cases, beyond the point, because these are complicated cases involving money laundering.
5% to him.
Beyond
He's in that 5%. If 95% is in opposition, you need 5% at least from ruling party.
There are two states where the Congress is in power, Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh. Now, even the state governments have the power to proceed as per, with the Anti-Corruption Bureau against, anybody they find corrupt. But the fact is, they will not find cases of corruption against BJP leaders because at least in the last few years, there has been very specific grooming. Na khaunga, na khane dunga has been a reality, even in the states.
Yes, Sanjay.
Well, Tamanna,
it is not a coincidence. It is not a coincidence that they're all opposition leaders. They've been brought in to clean up. Well, and this is what is being proven.
Well, Tamanna, I think honestly, Tuhin is a friend, but I never knew he had such an excellent sense of humor. Let me give you a couple of examples of the CBI, and I think Tuhin will be aware of this. The CBI under Mr. Modi's watch, the same Mr. Modi who's facing intense heat on his good friend Gautam Adani and is ducking an inquiry. We'll talk about it after another point. But the truth is that same CBI, the big anti-corruption infrastructure of India, went on a raid against itself at the midnight hours under this government's watch. And guess what? It reduced itself into such a mammoth joke that people saw it as a mafia organization. I mean, can you imagine a director of the CBI, the chief of the CBI, going against the government to the Supreme Court? And the Supreme Court chiding Mr. Modi's government for the way it handled the entire issue of the CBI chief's imbroglio. So they have made a complete mockery of the CBI and the ED.
So then, Sanjay, can I ask you a question? 1 minute. Yeah. Sanjay, then can I ask you a question? So what happened today? Was it a poorly drafted petition? Was it, bad in law? Why did it get thrown out in such a scathing manner and then had to be ultimately withdrawn?
Well, Tamanna, there are two
Clearly
points
something
here.
didn't work out.
Well, I can tell you that having read what the Supreme Court said, the Supreme Court's basic view is that all political parties, number one, who are feeling cornered, I don't think the Supreme Court has denied any of the data that has been submitted. And the data is not wrong, by the way. And those numbers basically tell a very painful truth, not just to people like us on the show right now, but to the people of India, because this is about India's democratic functioning. If the ruling dispensation assumes autocratic powers and makes the CBI and the ED, etc., as instruments of political terror, this country is doomed because you'll create a culture of political vendetta. Tomorrow, a non-BJP government will hound every political leader of the BJP and put them in jail. Is that what we want? So I think the fundamental question is this: that end of day, the caged parrot is now got chained and his tonsils have been removed.
Tamanna, this is a serious debate. So allow me 2 minutes where I specifically take you through some cases. Now, when it comes to Manish Sisodia, it has been 1.5 months. He has not been able to get bail. And what was the specific thing that the judge said in the last hearing? That he's the architect of the criminal conspiracy behind the Delhi liquor scam and a direct beneficiary of kickbacks to the tune of 80 to 100 crores rupees. He and his colleagues are the direct beneficiaries of that. So, I mean, these cases are, the involvement, the direct complicity of the person in jail is absolutely proved. Now, I will give you 2 or 3 other examples. Nawab Malik has been in jail since February 2022 for cutting deals on behalf of Dawood Ibrahim way back in 1999-2000. Now, if the case had no merit, do you trust the judiciary of this country or no? Now, I am telling you about 2 or 3 other places. Now, allow me to complete these. Now, there are 2 or 3 other cases where I'm pretty confident that those accused might end up in jail in the coming years, because that is how direct the cases are. For example, the land for job scam, the railway scam, which was perpetrated by Ladu Yadav. Now, Tejasvi Yadav has a bungalow in Delhi where a property worth 140 crore has been acquired by him for a mere 4 lakhs. Now, these are direct cases of corruption. Sooner than later, once the proof is established, they might end up in jail. So does that mean that the agencies are corrupt? The mining case of Jharkhand CM.
No, Tuhin, 1 minute, 1 minute. All of the cases you're describing are under investigation, and we'll have to wait for what happens in the court of law. That's also our legal process. But the argument that is being made is that process becomes the punishment. Yes, there is faith in judiciary, but no one can deny that the Indian legal process is very, very long. So
that is not the
these cases are hanging fire. These cases are hanging fire, and it becomes a way to beat down the opposition. That's their claim, that we are being targeted.
As of today, 1142 charge sheets have been filed by ED, which are pending judgment. Now, if the judgment has happened in only 25 cases, and if the judicial process takes time, is the ED to blame? So that's a separate issue altogether. But yes, I mean, at this point of time, 1142 charge sheets are pending. I mean, they have been filed and they are waiting verdict.
Okay, so it's not their fault that it takes so much time. It's not their fault that it takes so much time, Sanjay. And there are specific cases where there might be criminality. Do you think the mistake was lumping in everyone together? Because like you can make the argument that if you're in the opposition, it does not automatically make you corrupt. You can also take the argument that just because you're in the opposition, it does not automatically make you innocent.
Tamanna, I'm not going to speculate on what could and could not have been done, but let's get out of the rhetoric and put some facts on the table. You'll remember, Tamanna, that the UPA and the Congress was defeated in 2014 on account of certain charges. But who passed the Lokpal Act talking about the independence of the CBI in 2013? The Congress-led UPA. 10 years have gone by, Tamanna. That agitation led to the fall of a government, and the BJP and Mr. Modi became Prime Minister on the back of the Lokpal agitation. 10 years later, Mr. Tuhin Sinha's party, and I'm exposing their hypocrisy here because the viewers of your panel should know, of your show should know, the BJP does not even care for the CBI independence 10 years later. Does anybody know who the Lokpal is? Has the Adani case gone to the Lokpal? Have any of the cases gone to the Lokpal? The answer is no. Karnataka today, in a WhatsApp jokes that I get, is called the Karnataka High Commission, because it's not just 40%, it's now 80% commission rates there. And has
you started your comment by saying we are going to talk about facts, and then now you're quoting WhatsApp jokes.
Well, it's a fact, right? I mean, everybody knows it's a 40% government in Karnataka. I mean, it's a conversation point in Karnataka.
Tuhin, can you deny that corruption happens on the other side as well? Corruption happens on the other side as well, but only one kind of corruption is being seen as the CBI and the ED. I mean, the figures, can it all be just a coincidence that 95% of the cases being pursued are of opposition leaders?
I think Tamanna, let me tell you one more data point. Nobody is saying that if there is any accusation against them that needs to be investigated, please be my guest. But this whole big fraudulent act that the BJP is as pure as running water is got to be the biggest con job in the country. I mean, how can this party be so brazen when Karnataka you have an MLA and his son caught with 8 crores rupee of cash, like how Bangaru Lakshman, the former BJP president, was caught with his hands in the till. This is a corrupt party. Bhrashtachar Janata Party is how you should re-Christian yourself.
Tamanna, I think we need to avoid digressing from the debate. The conviction rate of ED is a good 96%, and I don't think the Congress can really claim about the Congress or the opposition parties can claim about being victimized, and that is precisely See, I think there is a broader point over here. The opposition needs to realize that judicial battles need not be fought within the people, and electoral battles need not be fought in with the judiciary. If the opposition realizes this, half of its problems will be solved. But more importantly, today you have multiple state governments run by opposition parties. When Mamata Banerjee says that you gave a green check to Suvendu Adhikari or others, I am challenging Mamata Banerjee. You have powers within the state government, you have the ACP within the state government, you pursue the case independently. Fact is that you can't find an iota of corruption, against BJP members. I said the same thing about Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh. If the previous BJP government had indulged in any form of corruption, please feel free to investigate. But point is,
well, this is why so many opposition states have withdrawn their general consent orders to let investigative agencies come in. So at the end of the day, if I look at it from the point of view of my viewer, the ordinary tax-paying citizen, so you have agencies that are tasked with doing a job, cannot do it in several states of this country, and have this question mark thrown at them on whether they are acting actually to improve the lives of people, to reduce corruption, to stop crime, or only as a political functionary? How does it work out for me, the citizen? And then what about the point Mr. Luthra has made before we started with this segment of the debate, that the actual question is, do the laws of this country harm any citizen that come in contact with law?
Yeah. Tamanna,
do they have rights? Forget about opposition leaders.
Yeah, Tamanna, just take one example. I mean, if the court say that Sanjay Raut's arrest was illegal, now, I don't want to get into the merits of the case, but he's a prominent political face of Maharashtra. Imagine how susceptible and vulnerable are ordinary citizens of India, whether it's a businessman, a journalist like you, and an ordinary person, who are doing whatever he or she is doing. I mean, they will feel terrified that if the government goes after them, they are literally at their beck and call. I mean, the problem is, Sanjay, to claim that because Sanjay Raut may or may not have been wrongfully targeted as per this court, that means any other opposition leader was also wrongfully targeted. You cannot extrapolate it. You cannot extrapolate innocence or guilt. It has to be case by case. That's what the court is saying today. You have a problem, you come to me. Tamanna, let me tell you, the opposition in this petition hasn't said that if there is a case against anybody from the opposition, don't go ahead and, follow whatever prosecution investigation has to be done. It's talked about a brazen, selective targeting. It's talked about a micro focus on those leaders whom they want to truly harass. And we know that. I can tell you that during the time when government changed in Maharashtra, there were so many leaders who left Uddhav Thackeray Shiv Sena because they were quietly told, you better make a move before the ED and the CBI comes against you. And you have Sanjay Patil and Harshvardhan Patil, two prominent leaders who joined the BJP, who publicly stated that after we joined the BJP, we can sleep peacefully because the ED and CBI won't come after us. I mean, what further evidence do we need?
Tuhin, is that evidence? Is that evidence of the washing machine, as they call it?
There is a senior journalist who sometimes ends up being a boxer who recently did a YouTube show 2 days ago and who claims that KCR has told all the opposition parties that if I'm made the key campaigner, I will fund all the campaign. Now, this is such a serious issue. This shows, that he's full of black money or unaccounted cash. Did anybody in the media raise an issue over there? The point is, when KCR makes a statement or apparently makes a statement of this nature, that shows that the opposition parties, some of these regional parties, are loaded with black money, hawala money, and, all forms of unaccounted cash. And I think that is the moot point. That the unaccounted cash is now finally, being pursued, that is law is finally catching up. And I'm telling you, because I have closely followed the Jharkhand mining scam, Sanjay Jha's friend Hemant Soren might be the next casualty. So don't complain at that point, that all of a sudden CBI was sent, because these cases are very direct cases. But at the same time, CBI and ED wait for a final conclusive closure without moving ahead. Another example is Rahul Gandhi. while he's on bail in the National Herald case in the last 7 years because that clinching evidence of a direct link could not be established. He continues to be out on bail. Nobody
Yeah,
can force him
Tuhin.
into jail if that direct link is not
No,
established.
but then in a judicial process, shouldn't it be closed one way or the other in a time-bound manner? No matter
That's
who's
a
on the other
separate
side.
question which the judiciary
but
can
it's
answer.
all
How can I
connected.
answer?
It's all
How?
connected, isn't it? I think one important point that the court made today, and I think which is crucial, that if the problem is political, and it is a political problem, right, that the opposition has gone with, that we are being targeted by investigative agencies, the solution will also have to be political.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
that's really where the fight will have to be. All right, I'm glad to end on a note where I can get Tuhin and Sanjay to agree with each other. Problem is political. The solution needs to be political. This is not for the courts to decide. If there's an individual case with individual facts, they can think about it then. So thank you so much for joining us on the first discussion this evening.